Shortly after the 2016 presidential election, Bernie Sanders went on The View and talked about how we need to hold Trump accountable.
Let me ask you something. So if you were the candidate, they say you would have won. I've been reading about that.
The answer is who knows and who will ever know. But the point is we got to talk about the future and how we go forward. And there are a couple of things on my mind. Number one, when Mr. Trump says that he's going to be for the working class, you know what? We're going to hold him accountable. We're going to list all the things that he said. You want to raise wages? Hey, count me in. We got a starvation minimum wage now of $7.25 an hour. Let's raise it to $15 an hour. You with me, Mr. You got women who are making 79 cents on the dollar. Anyone think that that is just in the year 2016? Pay equity for women workers. All right, our infrastructure, our roads and our bridges, and this is something Trump has been talking about. Let's work together. Let's create millions of jobs rebuilding our water systems, our wastewater plants, our rail system, all right? Trade, all right? Trump has a fair point, something I've been saying for a long time. Workers all over this country are seeing their jobs going to China and Mexico. Their wages have gone down significantly. Let's create a trade policy that gets corporate America to start investing in this country. All right? Now, what about the cost of prescription drugs? Why do we pay the highest prices in the world for the medicine that we need, while the pharmaceutical industry is making huge profits? Now, Mr. Trump talked about it. We're going to hold him accountable. Are you prepared to take on the pharmaceutical industry? Are you prepared to take on Wall Street, whose greed has done so much harm to our country?
All right, so let's try and break this down. Bernie, when asked if he would have beaten Trump had he been the Democratic nominee, said, "Who knows, and who will ever know?" And he is right in the sense that there is no way to know for sure what would have happened. But with that being said, he probably would have beaten Trump, based on the polling. The polling consistently showed Bernie having a significant lead on Trump in head-to-head matchups. In fact, Bernie was consistently outperforming Hillary versus Trump in the polling. Now, Bernie says we need to focus on the future and that we need to hold Trump accountable. And he's right, we do need to do that. Then Bernie starts listing off things we need to do. He talks about how we have a starvation minimum wage. He says, let's raise it to $15 an hour. And that'd be a good idea, seeing as the minimum wage should be much higher than it is today, if it had kept up with American productivity. And that'd also be a good idea, seeing as the middle and working class of this country have seen a significant portion of their wealth transferred to the people who don't need it, aka the wealthiest people in this country. Then Bernie talks about how women only make 79 cents on the dollar compared to men, which is obviously really bad, but unfortunately that is not the worst statistic in terms of pay equity for women. Did you know women only own 32 cents on the dollar compared to men? To say we really need to start stepping our game up in terms of establishing pay equity for women would be a gross understatement. Then Bernie talks about creating millions of jobs by rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our water systems. And boy, do our water systems need work. Bernie talks about trade and how workers all over this country are seeing their jobs go overseas and their wages go down. These trade deals really sell out American workers. They cause people to lose their jobs to people overseas, and wages go down because the American people now have to compete against people overseas willing to work for starvation wages. Then Bernie talks about prescription drugs, and he says that we pay the highest prices for prescription drugs in the world. Did you know that we spend more per person on healthcare than any other country on earth, including all of the countries that already have universal healthcare? Finally, Bernie talks about the greed of Wall Street. Wall Street has way too much economic and political power, so much so that the American people had to bail it out back in 2008. That should never have happened. These banks on Wall Street are too big, and we need to break them up. There are a lot of things we as a country have to work on. There are a lot of things we need to hold Trump accountable on. Now, these were just some of them. And right now, Trump is not doing a good job in addressing these issues. Hey guys, if you want to help out this show, you can follow our various social media links. Also, we have a Facebook group that you can join as well. And if you want to follow me on social media, you could do that as well. Alright guys.